It did intensify to a 5, and that's certainly good news, mainly because of that upper trough that we were talking about. It's fed in dry air all the way around the western flank, and you can see it working its way into the eastern part of the system. So unless this system seals itself off from that dry air intrusion, we're not looking for much strengthening, although the forecast does call for some slight strengthening prior to landfall. Now, as we go to the graphics and take a look at the satellite imagery over a 24-hour period, 24 hours ago, it was a strong category 4. We thought it might go to a 5 here as it went over the warmest waters of the Gulf of Mexico, but that dry air having an influence on the system. However, what do we notice, though? A little bit more in the way of convection going right over the center. So we'll see if this is going to be a strengthening trend or just a trend that maintains its intensity over the next 12 to 24 hours. Current conditions, this is at the 4 o'clock bulletin, 115 mile per hour sustained winds. It's been moving fairly quickly to the northwest at about 18, and that puts it about 360, 370 miles from the Lafayette. And again, the official forecast will call for 125 mile per hour winds later on tonight. And again, these circles here are the radius of winds. Tropical storm force winds in the yellow. In the orange, we're talking about moderate tropical storm conditions, 58 mile per hour winds. And then we get into the circle right here, orange-red. That's where you're going to have your hurricane force winds. And within that area, you're going to have 125 mile an hour winds and the strongest squalls right around the eye wall. Now, we fast forward this, put it in motion as we go over the next 24 hours, making landfall. Now, the official forecast track is landfall, Terrebonne Parish, perhaps St. Mary Parish, but we have to remember we're going ahead 18, 19 hours. The error could be 30 miles in either direction. And if anything, the Hurricane Center is thinking maybe a little bit to the left. We'll see what they do with their 10 o'clock bulletin. But this is a pretty good forecast track based on what we've been seeing and the current situation. Hurricane force winds developing and pushing into St. Mary Parish by tomorrow afternoon. And then we'll be watching this spreading northwestward. The eye projecting to go right over Lafayette tomorrow afternoon, 5, 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. So with that, that's where you're going to have the swath, the damaging swath of better than 80 or 90 or 100 mile an hour wind gusts, and gusts to 110, 115 will be likely. Sustained winds, though, will be hurricane force in Lafayette, which has never happened before. We'll have to wait and see, but we've never recorded that out at the airport. Bottom line, though, all of Acadiana getting bisected by this system. High winds over all of Acadiana, whether you live in northern portions of Evangeline Parish down to the coast, Jeff Davis Parish on eastward. We expect at the very least minimal hurricane conditions with some gusts over 110, 115 miles an hour. And then this system continues to plow to the north and west, slows down. That's going to set the heavy rain threat up for all of Acadiana. 10 to 15 inches of rain, a pretty good call. Most everybody getting 5 to 10, 10 to 15 in isolated areas. And when this slows down, somebody's going to see a 20-inch rainfall after all is said and done. By Tuesday, 1 o'clock, the system pushes into Texas. Our winds begin to abate. But again, the key is, where is this final track going to be? Because that will dictate where the highest surge will be. As Bobby Jindal was telling you, he's doing a good job on the meteorology. Highest surge will be south and east of this system. But if the forecast track is a little bit farther to the west, we could see a much more significant surge. But right now, 6 to 8, a pretty good call across per million day after the storm passes to the north and west. Meanwhile, ahead of this, the winds are going to be out of the north, and that's going to push the water out into the Gulf of Mexico. But as the system moves to the north and west, the return flow will bring storm tides up along the entire coastline, and we'll have to wait and see and assess that later on tonight. But a significant surge quite possible along the coastal area. So the forecast in the near term, hurricane warnings in effect for all of us. Your rain chances going up to 60% first thing in the morning. And say this is for Lafayette, we're kind of in the middle point here, and rain chances gradually going up throughout the afternoon hours with, again, tropical storm force winds, a done deal, hurricane force winds likely for most of Acadiana. We're talking 80 to 100 mile an hour gusts likely anywhere in Acadiana. And where the center of the storm makes landfall, especially over St. Mary Parish, wind gusts well over 100 miles an hour. We'll talk more about that and compare with previous storms coming up in our next weather segment. Right now, we go back to Hoyt.